The following podcast has been rated PGN. Parental guidance is neglected.
Boy, it's been a long time since we've had a little father-son chat.
I am your father.
Father, if you can hear me, I failed.
Don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I'm here with my dad.
I know what you're gonna say, son. And you're right. You're right.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I've abandoned my boy!
Hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Parental Guidance Neglected. As always, I'm Jackson Burns, and you are...
Regan Burns. It's going fine. You asked everyone how they're doing as if they're going to answer you. You said, "Hey everybody, how you doing?"
They're at home. It's like they're watching Dora answering the questions to the screen, even though we can't hear them. That's why I visualize our viewers.
You loved
as like a.
Did you like Dora better, or what was the little boy's name? Diego.
Diego.
Yeah. Were you a Dora?
Diego.
You were
Diego
Diego
was
all
so
the way.
cool.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
The problem with Dora, I remember when you and your sister would watch that as little kids, is that every episode was the same damn thing. It was like you knew that Swiper was going to swipe some shit, and you knew they were going to have to find the map.
It's in his name.
Yeah, I know. I've watched it 8 billion times. You guys would watch that all the time.
No, I think it's just funny that they just named him the thing that he does.
The Swiper, yeah, Swiper the Swiper. It was the same. It's like have some creativity. Why don't you? How's your week going, buddy?
Week's been good. Busy but good.
Busy is good. Now, I actually saw you last night, so I'm pretty caught up with all of your shenanigans. I guess the big thing this week is that your family, being your mother, myself, and your sister, we all came down and watched you do improvisational theater. With the theater, there was no script. There were no rules. We made it up.
Rules. We threw the rule book out.
We made it up as we went along. And you prefaced this by telling us that this was a short form show. So for those who don't know what that means, there's short form improv, there's long form improv. Short form is usually just scenes or games that last a few minutes, compared to like if you improvised an entire play or something scenario that went on forever and ever. And you told us you are not a fan of short improv. Are you not a fan of watching short improv, or are you not a fan? Short improv would be like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
In and out games like that. Long form improv would be, I'm trying to think for layman's term, would kind of be like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, where it's kind of it's not scripted, but it's a story and it follows through all the way.
Or Reno 911 in a way, I guess.
Reno's
sometimes
like
some
long
episodes.
form with little short things mixed in. You know, are you not a fan of short form, or you just don't enjoy doing short form, or both? Because you prefaced it by telling us you
hate doing short form.
You hate
I hate
doing
it so
it.
much.
Right?
It's really not my thing.
Why you don't like you don't like the alphabet game or the helping hands or any of that kind of stuff? That's not your jam.
No, I don't like. Yeah, I'd rather build a character and all that stuff. It's way more.
Right.
It's just more fun for me. And I'm just better at it. I really am not. Short form is just not my strong suit. Watching it is good. I definitely prefer long form stuff.
Right.
But I don't have an issue with watching short form.
Yeah. You did good. I would say that you were probably in the two. If you're gonna do a short form show, you were probably in the two weakest games. Like.
Oh, for sure.
Like if I were you, I'd have been like, those are the two games that I wouldn't want to be in. Out of the
I was so upset. I was like, no way they put me in.
Yeah, out of this
my movie in Blind Line.
Yeah, so in one of them, you guys had to make up movie lines and then possibly make up a tag to that movie. You know, like be afraid, be very afraid. and then if the director or scene ruler or whatever he's called liked it, then you would do a very quick scene from that film. But you were doing a movie thing. You are a movie podcaster. You're a film student. Technically, now that I think about it, that should have been the one scene you wanted to be in.
No, I hate my movie so much.
You don't like that one.
My movie sucks.
Even though it's all about movies.
No, because it's not like it's like you go up there and it's like you're doing a scene from Jaws. It's like you make up your own stupid little tie. And I'm a cinematographer. I'm not even good at coming up with movie ideas. If I was, I'd be a writer, and I'm not. So,
all you have to do, Jackson, is come up with one good script. That's all. Sometimes some people only have one good script in them. Like they make their Citizen Kane, and then that's it. They go, nope, I don't have any. It was a great idea. I saw the story. I knew the characters. And they go, what's next? And you're like, got me. I don't have any other ideas. That was it. I blew it all.
And sometimes some people make no good scripts and still make it.
Yeah.
And that's the funny part where it's like, oh, you're just good at making bad movies.
Yeah. And somehow M. Night Shyamalan keeps getting financed.
How does he do it? How does that guy?
What's the name of the trailer that's running right now? The new one coming out. The cabin
in the woods knockoff.
Knocking in the cabin, I don't
something like that. Yeah, knocking at the cabin, or the one with Dave Bautista.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really intrigues me about that film and that trailer is the casting. I'm like, the redheaded kid from Harry Potter.
He's in that.
Yeah, he's one of the dudes standing right next to Batista. He's one of the psychos who comes to the door. Rupert, whatever his name is, I think. They're all named Rupert or
yeah, it's Rupert, like Grim, I don't know, something like that.
Grimwall, I don't know.
Yeah, knock at the cabin.
And then, what's the guy's name who's from Mindhunter? He's actually really... Jonathan Groff, I think, is his
Jonathan
name.
Groff.
Yeah, he's great. So it's just a weird, eclectic cast, and then the little Asian girl. So the only thing that intrigues me...
It's got a good cast. I mean, but then again, Old also had a good cast, and that's true. Fell apart.
And that was absolutely horrible. So I saw my son quite a bit this week. I came and watched him do improv, and I can't wait to see him do it again. Look, it's tough. It's very, very tough. It's very funny because I saw you last night, and we literally ran into a gentleman who I consider one of the best improvisers I've ever seen, Jim Rash, last night, who you recognized from Reno 911, but I've performed with him over the years. And
did he ever get back to you on what he thought about Tar?
He didn't. We went and saw Tar last night, and he was seeing a late screening of it. First off, oh my gosh, you imagine going to that film at like 10 or 10:30 at night? I mean, you're in
brave soul.
You're in for a ride, and we're not saying it's good or bad. That's coming up later in the show, but it's long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. I ran into Jim, Academy Award winner Jim Rash, acclaimed film director and actor. He's in Bros right now. Very, very funny man. I thought you did good. I wanted to tell you here in person.
Thank you.
I gave you some thoughts already on just the show in general. I'm going to try very, very hard to come down next Friday, is it? And see you again.
It's next Friday. We usually have shows on Thursdays, but someone's been taking up the spots, so...
Yeah, so I'm
we're doing the killer show.
Yeah, I'm going to try to come see you again next week. And I did not yell out any bad suggestions. I didn't yell out any suggestions. So there you have it.
I don't think any of us are big suggestion people.
I'm not crazy about it because I don't want to be judged by.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I would tell your team is don't take 20 minutes to get a suggestion. My God.
Well, it's because we had a really bad audience and they were not giving out good suggestions. So I think we ended up actually making up a few because they just weren't.
They weren't good.
Giving us.
Yeah.
That was a weaker. You guys came to a really it was. I really wish you had come at a different show, but it just the timing worked out best for this one. So
unless you fail out or change hobbies, you'll be there for another.
There'll be more
another
for
2.5 years. It's the Parental Guidance Parental Guidance Neglected podcast, PGM podcast. 2 generations, father and son, talking movies and improvisational theater. And whatever else comes up. Do you got a busy day today? Do we got to wrap this? We
I got
should
a busy
probably
day.
wrap this up. I have a feeling.
Yeah,
you're
we
busy
gotta go.
today.
Yeah, no, I have after this recording, I'm guest hosting someone else's podcast with my other podcast boys.
Is it
Then
Kelly?
I have to
Is it
record
Kelly
the Good
and
Enough podcast.
Kelly Ripa? Is it the Kelly Ripa podcast?
It's not. It's actually Joe Rogan.
It's
and
Joe Rogan?
Yeah,
You're sitting
It's
in for Jamie?
or whatever. Theo Vaughn's. I don't know. Every comedian's got their own podcast now.
Every human being has their own podcast.
Has their own podcast. Yeah, that's true.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff to record today, and then I got improv tonight. So.
Oh, well, look at you. Let's get right into it. A couple things I did want to talk to you before we get into our films. Just a couple movies to talk about this week. But one, we missed our anniversary show. We missed we missed our 25th.
We missed
show.
25. I know. We just kind of. You know what? I think that was a good 25 though, because I think the little top 10 list was a good way to cap it, even if we did it unintentionally.
That was last week, right? 25?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Our first show that kind of went almost an hour and a half, because we like to do a tight 60, because, you know, we're not going to be on here.
Taking up too much of your time.
Yeah, we're not doing a Rogan or Corolla where we're on here for 4.5 hours. Who's got the time for that? But yeah, it was our 25th episode. This is our episode 26 you're listening to. And we're, like I said, we've been trying to come to you every week, and we appreciate your support and remind you to subscribe and like our YouTube channel and our TikTok and our Instagram. Also, before we get anything else, let's just do it. Let's check in with Jackson's Pretentious Art Corner.
I don't have much this week, actually.
And by much, you only means 5 or 10 films.
Technically, I only saw one new movie that I haven't seen before this week. I tried to watch the second Human Condition last night, but the DVD broke halfway through, so I didn't finish it.
No. DVD?
It was good so far, though.
What do you mean DVD? You're watching things on DVD?
Yeah, I just go into the library sometimes and pick out ones that look interesting.
Your school's library. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say there's streaming.
But the one movie that I did watch this week was Pride and Prejudice.
What? Which version? There's been like 15 different versions of that. Which one are we talking about? The one with Keira Knightley and and Tom,
the other
what's
guy.
his name? Yeah, Tom, the other British guy from Succession.
Yeah. So I watched that with my girlfriend made me watch it with her because it's one of her favorites.
Oh, dude, you're getting sucked into that Jane Austen film world.
I will not rate it. Because
Because why? Because why?
Really,
No, Jackson.
Because if I do, I'm afraid that there will be unforeseen consequences.
Oh, you are so whipped. You know my feeling on Jane Austen.
Here's my thing.
I can't stand it.
It is shot very well.
Oh, that's
and
good.
The production design is very good.
Yes.
It's technically very impressive.
Oh, okay.
I could not wait for it to be over.
Yeah.
And I didn't everyone talks so silly. The best part of the whole movie for me was there was a character named Mr. Gardner.
Oh,
and it took me a minute, but halfway through I was like, oh, that's the guy from he had a little role in Naked, and he also had a little role in Meantime, and he's been in a bunch of Mike Leigh movies, and I was like, you know what, good for him, he's getting work. And that was my highlight of the movie for me was, oh, there's Brian from Naked.
I want to think, I feel like I've seen Sense and Sensibility. I know I have, and I'm sure I've fallen asleep during Emma. I've never tried to muscle through Pride and Prejudice. I just don't like this.
It's just a romance story. Like, I was waiting for like I've heard really good things about this. Like, I was waiting for the big, and it was just like two people fall in love, and then they're in love, and I was like, oh my god. And it's just and Mr. Darcy is coming over for tea, and it's gonna be make sure you wear your pretty dress because we want to marry our daughters. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm this close to leaving.
The problem with those films is all the characters are just rich, obnoxious, spoiled brats.
Oh, they're the worst. They're the worst.
They're just horrible
Every
people.
single person.
Yeah.
Just really gross British.
I know, and they're always
bourgeois,
they're being waited on, and they're servants, and there's just I think they own slaves in half of them, and I'm just like,
oh my god! And the whole thing is like the guy that she's into is very rich, and she's not. But she also has servants and lives in a really nice house and wears pretty dresses every day. I'm like, you're not poor, you fucker. You just happen to live near a farm. Like that's not the same thing.
I know. Their idea of like not as well is like, oh, we don't own land in France.
Right,
you know, right. Like the Bannisters. Right, yeah. You know, like
we didn't get to vacation every month of the year like we usually do.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, basically not happening.
Oh my God, I can't believe a girlfriend has turned pretentious Jackson Art Corner into one Jane Austen film. Look at you, so whipped.
That was
so whipped. All right. Well, Jackson will be back next week with reviews of Howard's End and every single Matthew McConaughey romance rom-com.
Yeah, really excited for that.
Well, speaking of British films, though, it was my week to pick a film, and I know Jackson's love for British cinema lately has been pretty high as we've listened to him drone on about Mike Leigh movies. So in my research, I found that one of Mike Leigh's influences as well. This movie also was a huge influence on Guy Ritchie and Quentin.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And Quentin Tarantino, massive fan of this film. I had never seen the original 1971 Mike Hodges movie, Get Carter. This is a gangster film. You can tell it's definitely coming out of the 60s and heading into the 70s. It's one of Michael Caine's first big major hits after Alfie. And
he looks exactly the same.
I know he does. Still has still had bad teeth and bad hair back then.
Yep. He might be the most British person.
Yeah. Do you know he was in the running for a while back then? He was very close and in the running for James Bond. I can
see that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that.
Really? I can kind of see it.
Maybe he was very, very young. The movie Get Carter, it's based on the novel Jack's Return Home. Mike Hodges is the director. He also did another cult classic, Flash Gordon, which I loved as a kid. The name of the movie is Get Carter. Again, this is the 1971 original. It was done again, I believe, in the 90s, remade with Sylvester Stallone. And then Mike,
I can't even picture that.
I think it got an 11 on Rotten Tomatoes. But I have to tell you, after seeing the original, I kind of want to see it, and I might just watch it just for comparison, because I know I think Michael Caine is in the remake, but then now plays one of the gangsters instead of Carter. Okay. It's named Get Carter. It's a lot of characters. I'm not going to lie to you. I had to Wikipedia this a couple times just to look at this.
I did too. Yeah. I'm glad that I was not alone in that, because I was like, getting
there's
a lost.
Lot of gangster names and family, and I'm like, wait a minute. So it's a revenge film where Michael Caine, who is a hitman for a mob in London, goes back to one of the small cities in England to find out about the death of his brother that is supposedly a drunk driving accident, but he suspects foul play. And we get a cavalcade of different characters, whether it's gangsters from London or Newcastle, a ton of different women that I'm pretty sure Michael Caine has sex with all of them.
All of them.
He really does.
Which begs the question, could he pull that off?
I don't know.
Does he have the look for that?
He has sex with 3 of them, and the 4th one he has phone sex with. But he's had sex with her before. That was his girlfriend from afar.
Yeah.
And at first you think, like, you hear of this story of him running away with his girlfriend, and he's like, well, yeah, but when I'm in Newcastle, I'm going to dip the wick as much as I can. It's a violent film for the times. It's got a very interesting score by Roy Budd, who was just him and 2 other musicians. Jazz music used very sparingly. I thought was pretty good. I enjoyed.
I like the score too, but I thought it needed more music. I was getting really. It was used a little too sparingly, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that was a big note that I had.
It was minimal. I enjoyed Get Carter. What are your thoughts, Jackson?
So I will say, I think that one of the biggest, like, the things that I like the most about this kind of, like, era of British, cinema, whatever you want to call it, is that the endings of the movies aren't necessarily good or bad. I just think that they're real. Like, they always feel like they end in the way that they're supposed to.
Yep.
As opposed to just, like, oh, everyone ends up, where they're supposed to in movie terms.
Right.
So I like that about this movie a lot. I think it took a lot of risks in that way. Not necessarily maybe what the audience wanted, but what,
right.
what would have happened. And what probably did happen in the book, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
With that being said, this was a tough one to get. I would say it got better as it went along.
I
agree.
agree.
Towards the beginning, there was a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely slow out of the gate. And I did find myself having to Google at some point, being like, oh, crap, I don't know who they're talking, because it's just a lot of names.
Yeah.
And a lot of the characters are introduced through... I think some of them are introduced through the videos, or just, I don't know. It was, I had a hard time just being like, oh my God, there's so many, middle-aged white men. I just don't know who, I can't remember who's Albert, and one of them's Evan, and wait, he was the driver, and there was like a...
Eric, Albert, Cyrus.
Yeah, Eric.
And it's, Cyril, and there's a bunch of them.
Bumsby, yeah.
There's also little things that are alluded to that I was like, oh yeah, they did say that very fast. Like, there is a chance that his niece, Doreen, may be his daughter. In fact, there's, some point someone yells out something like, you slept with your brother's, wife at that time. And he's not even sure if he's the father. And that's kind of thrown out. And then you realize, oh, is he trying to protect his niece or his daughter? Or does he know that even? Right. Or so there's a lot of little clues that were thrown out very quick that if you didn't pick them up right then, you'd be like, oh, the gangster found out you're sleeping with his girlfriend. And then that, you're like, oh, is that going to come back? Or, so I think it played to me like, yeah, this is definitely based on a novel, because in a novel, all these characters would be much more fleshed out, and they've crammed them into 2 hours. But what did I like about the film? I like seeing Michael Caine young. I think, some of his stuff is a little over the top, but he's so committed to it. I like it. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think this film holds up pretty well as far as women in a very particular...
you don't think?
I think every woman in this film either gets raped, slapped, or murdered. And when they get murdered, nobody really seems to care. He didn't...
No, it's just kind of collateral damage as opposed to the loss of a life.
There's a lot of women getting pushed around. I have in our era of post-Me Too, so this is the reason I want to see the sequel. Two reasons I want to see. One, I want to see how women are portrayed in the remake. And two...
What year was the remake, do you know?
The 90s. I think it was the late 90s. I'll have to check on that.
I'll check on that right now while you're talking.
The other thing is, I want to see if they Hollywoodize the ending of the film. Because, I'm not going to give spoilers of an old film. I want to see if they're...
It was 2000.
It was 2000, yeah, so right at the end of the 90s. So I'm just curious to see if they went, because the ending of this film is pretty bleak, and I'm curious to see if they go, nope, we got to change that up, and I want to see if they...
It also takes place in, the remake takes place in Las Vegas, so there's that too.
Oh, the name of the hotel... or not even hotel, apartment room for rent in this movie was called, and that threw me at one point too. He goes, I'm staying.
Yeah, me too. I was like, wait.
He's like, I'm staying in Las Vegas, and then eventually there's a shot of the outside of this Airbnb that he's staying at that has like a neon light that says Las Vegas, which was pretty much just a hooker hotel. It's interesting. It was for me. It was at first I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a slog fest, but it did pick up for the second half. It's neat to see Sir Michael Caine out there doing his thing. Does it hold up? No. No. Did I enjoy aspects of it? Yeah. And it's I think one of the things I enjoyed the most is you can obviously see how this film, which is now it's kind of a cult classic. It didn't do great at the box office, but it's become a cult hit. You can see where like Quentin Tarantino would just masturbate to this.
For sure.
And Guy Ritchie. Yeah.
And Guy Ritchie, definitely.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting peek into the history of film. So for that, I'm going to give it a solid C. Average.
All right. I think me and you are pretty much on agreeance here, because I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Also average. Yeah.
So that was my pick. I don't know if it was a great film, but I think it was an interesting film.
I'm glad I saw it though. I definitely, because that was interesting, being like, oh, this is where all of this
started.
Yeah. It could have been, things could have been different if this wasn't made. So
yeah. And I don't know, if I get bored, I'll report next week to let you know if Sylvester Stallone has sex with 4 different women, physically abuses them, and then if it ends incredibly darkly.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of, I don't know, what were we just speaking of?
Well, is it my turn? Do you want me to do my movie announcement now for next week?
Yeah, why not? Sure. Man, when I have a bad segue, can you just edit those out? Is that something?
I'll just.
Can you somehow?
You know what? No, that's gonna stay in, and that's just
literally, I said speaking of, and I realized.
And then there was nothing to speak of.
It didn't, because sometimes my brain just says, "Oh, I'll just take that segue into that." But
no, yeah, I know you did.
Yeah. So Get Carter was my pick. Me and my son like to pick a movie once a month that we have not seen that we wish we had, or still need to, or a classic that people are telling us to see, and we both see them. Get Carter was my pick. Jackson, what movie that no human being has ever heard of have you picked for us to watch?
This is actually going to be. I think you're going to be excited for this.
Oh.
This movie right now. Well, I guess not technically considered a classic yet. I'm hoping that in the future it will be. I have not seen this film. I actually checked it out of the library a couple weeks ago, but the DVD was broken. I couldn't even get it to work, so I had to return it and didn't end up watching it. Made by a filmmaker that I know we are both a fan of.
Okay.
With such films recently as Snowpiercer, Okja, and Parasite. This is a movie coming from Bong Joon-ho. It's his 2003, I believe, his breakout film. A murder mystery called Memories of Murder, and it also stars Song Kang-ho, the same guy who plays the father in Parasite as well. So it's kind of both of their first major appearances, as far as I know.
Bong Joon, how do you say his name? Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. He did Snowpiercer.
He did do Snowpiercer.
The American version of. Is there an American version of Snowpiercer?
No, just the one with Chris Evans. That was Bong Joon-ho. He directed it. Did he write it? I'll tell you right now.
No, I don't think so.
He did.
He wrote and directed Snowpiercer.
Wrote and directed Snowpiercer.
You know, I've never seen that movie, and I've
really
I've never seen the TV show. I mean, there's a TV show.
I haven't seen the TV show, but the movie is really, really good. I recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It was on my list for a little while, and then somehow I caught wind that you had seen it. I'm like, well, I'm taking that one off because remember,
it
has to be a film that neither one of us have seen. I have not seen Memories of Murder. Who's in that? Is it Brad Pitt or is it Leonardo DiCaprio? Who's in that?
In Memories of Murder?
Yeah.
Neither. I just told you it's Song Kang-ho.
So you've picked another obscure Japanese film, is what you're trying to say.
Well, just define obscure. It's the guy who did Parasite. It won the best film of the year last year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. All right. So.
God, don't do this to me. Come on now. This is
What's the Rotten Tomatoes on that one? Give me a Rotten Tomatoes score.
I'll tell you right now.
Memories of Murder. Because if it's below an 80, you're gonna go back to the lottery.
Okay, so Rotten Tomatoes has a 95 from critics.
Yeah, the critics don't
and
know anything.
and a 93 from audience.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Maybe get off your high horse and watch a movie.
Okay, have you checked to make sure this is available somewhere?
It is available on Amazon. Yes.
Okay, so we can watch it. All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Memories of Murder will be viewed and discussed next week for about 3 minutes. We'll dedicate about 3 minutes to that. We won't take up
the worst.
We won't take up too much of your time on that. The other 50 minutes will be dedicated to Lyle Lyle Crocodile.
Yeah.
Again,
what even is opening this week? I mean, I guess we can go see. We never ended up seeing Triangle, whatever it was.
Triangle of Sadness. Yeah, Jackson and I, we met up last night to see two films that have only opened up in Los Angeles and New York. And we had visions of going to both and doing dinner in between until we found out that Tar was over 2.5 hours. And then we were just beat and had to drive home. So we threw in the towel on Triangle of Sadness. So next week we will have reviews of Memories of Murder, that's Jackson's pick of a classic that neither one of us have seen this week. We will also try to see maybe Triangle of Sadness. That opens a little bit wider next week, but still not everywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
The two big films opening next week is the final film in the new trilogy of Michael Myers. That's Halloween Ends will be next weekend. As well as the romantic comedy Till, about a young African-American
The romantic
boy.
comedy?
Yeah. No, it is not. It looks...
I thought you were going to say the...
Ticket to Paradise?
Like
No.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
That's next weekend. We'll figure out what the hell
Aren't
we're
you
doing
seeing that tonight?
I am supposed to go see an advanced screening tonight of Till with a Q&A with the director afterwards. I don't know. Let me see. If I don't go tonight, I will see it next weekend when it opens in theaters, and we will make sure.
Okay.
So Jackson is a busy student. We'll try to drag him to Halloween or Till or Triangle of Sadness, and I'll try to get in all three of those next week for our big thing. Before we get to our spotlight big box office release this week, which was Tar. That's the new Cate Blanchett movie, which is only playing in 4 theaters in the country right now. It will be opening to about 30 theaters next weekend, and if it continues to get good numbers, they'll open it further. Whether or not it will or will not is yet to be determined. But speaking in numbers, I thought this would be interesting, Jackson, just to talk about the box office a little bit, since we didn't have a lot of movies. I want to get your thoughts on a few things.
Okay.
I'll just go back from 10. Number 10 this week is Bullet Train, which just passed 100 million this week. Bullet Train.
So this is top 10 for box office right now. Like
the week that just ended. Bullet Train just got 100 million. Is that a 100 million movie? Is it that good that that's the benchmark? It made 100 million.
I can see why though, because it's fun. You know, it's a movie that everyone can enjoy. I think it's got a little something for everyone.
It was kind of that little. Listen to this. It was.
No, go ahead.
It was kind of the little train that could. It just kind of chugged along all summer. Look at that. See what I did there? I mean, it wasn't like people were rushing out to see Bullet Train, but it was like every week you're like, Bullet Train's still doing good, or people are still seeming to like that. But yeah, number 10, it just got its 100 million. Number 9, Jackson, it has now made $714 million. Now, let me put that in perspective. Bullet Train just hit 100 million. This number 9 movie this week has made $714 million. It's still in the top 10. It's Top Gun Maverick. It is now only about 70 million behind the number 1 movie of all time, Avatar, which, by the way, is number 6 on the list this week because it's been re-released. So it's trying to keep the game going by making a little more money now.
I'm so disappointed in humanity. I just every time that movie comes up in conversation, I'm just like, oh, stop.
Stop. It was fun though. Come on, number 9.
Yeah, but like, you think it's deserving of all of this?
I don't know. I think it's the right movie.
No way.
It's the right movie at the right time. Coming out of the pandemic, it was the perfect remedy. And it probably, let's be honest, because I don't know if you know this, there's been a lot of articles. This September, now that September's over and we're in October, this September was the worst box office in theaters in 16 years. Now, I mean, you can blame some of that on coming out of the pandemic or whatever, but and there just was not as many good movies. But yeah, it was a bad month. Number 8, this is a massive flop. And even the stars and the director of the film are starting to ask why it was. Listen, I did not care for it. I mean, I really, really didn't like it, but I had to preface it. I don't like the genre. But our number 8 movie, Bros, has only made $8 million in 2 weeks.
What is this a top 10 list of?
This is the box office. How the films did this weekend. This is your top box office.
Oh, this week. Oh, just this weekend.
Just
okay,
this week.
I see what you're saying.
This week that just ended.
Okay.
Yeah, Bros.
Yeah, I mean,
you did not see it, but I don't.
I see the appeal though. I see the appeal though. It's just not, it's not.
I don't know. I don't know what kept.
I don't think it's. I'm not a rom-com guy, so.
Yeah, I mean, Billy came out and said that he doesn't think that they marketed this movie to the straight audience, and he got a lot of criticism about that. And I don't know. I don't know if there's. All I know is I didn't care for the film, but I'm in the minority there. Number 7 is Barbarian, kind of a sleeper hit horror movie. It's made about $36 million. I think it deserves to be up there. Number 6,
definitely fun movie.
Yeah, number
Creative.
6. Number 6, I mentioned Avatar has been re-released and made about another $2 million this weekend. It's up to $783 million of all time.
You know what's really? I'm starting to. There's about to be a lot of stuff coming out. There has been lately of James Cameron treating his VFX team kind of shitty, and it made me a little bit upset. I was like, damn, that kind of sucks.
Those rumors have been going around for about 20 years. He has been known to be a bit of a tyrant. Yeah, I mean, to what extent? I don't know if he's like Michael Bay level, but that's been going around for a while. Are you going to go see it? Avatar? You never saw the original. Do you want to see this on the big screen before the next one comes out? Or are you like, no, I'll pass?
I'll see it. I don't know if I'll go to a theater to see it. Maybe I will.
If you're going to see it, you should need to see it in the theater. To be honest with you,
everyone says that, but it's not. I mean, everyone says that, but this movie's old now. Like, it's not. This isn't like the same movie that it was.
But you
10 or 20 years ago, whenever it came out.
But you should see it in 3D.
All right, I'll try to.
If there's a 3D thing and you have the time, I would say so.
In 3D or in IMAX?
3D.
Okay.
I think 3D, personally. That's my thoughts. Number 5, you know what? It got all the controversy. It's done okay. 38 million. Don't worry, darling. It's hanging around. I mean, despite the controversy, it was not a runaway hit. It's not Bullet Train. It's not going to make 100 million.
Yeah.
But, it's been out for about 3 weeks, and it's made roughly 40 mil. Not too bad.
All right, yeah, that's not terrible.
Yeah, number 4 is The Woman King, 54 million. I gotta think that's a big hit for them because I don't think that's that expensive of a film. I mean, your most expensive star. Well, your most expensive star is Viola Davis. I don't think it's a special effects heavy film. It looks like
I can't really tell.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of stunt choreography. I still need to see that one as well.
True.
Here's the thing I really want to ask you about. It opened at number 3. This is its first weekend. We reviewed it last week. It only made $6.5 million. They're now calling it possibly one of the biggest flops of the year. It's Amsterdam with we saw it last week. Christian Bale. And
I can see why. It hasn't really been marketed that much. I didn't really hear much about it outside of just like an occasional Hollywood billboard and then maybe showing it before a screening. Maybe.
Yeah. The reviews have not been kind, and it is, I mean, a dismal opening. When a film with Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Christian Bale, and Taylor Swift, and Rami Malek, when that opens, when that makes less money than Lyle Crocodile, which took 11 million at number 2, that's not a good sign.
No. Oh boy, yeah.
There were things about Amsterdam I liked, but overall, it was more of a disappointment than it was.
It's not going to be on my top 10 list, but it was fun.
So, what's the number 1 movie then? What was the number 1 movie in the country this week, Jackson? Come on.
Pearl?
No. Pearl's out of there already. But you're close. It was a horror movie. Smile. Number 1 movie, 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row now. Made another 17 million. And in 2 weeks, it's already made 50. And that took a lot of these other films like 4 or 5 weeks. So
it's a smaller budget movie too. So I mean, good for them.
Yeah, and no stars in that whatsoever. Like Kevin Bacon's daughter and A-Train from The Boys. I mean, there's nobody.
Not much happening there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's safe to say that next week the number 1 movie will be Halloween Ends. I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
Curious to see how Till does. And see maybe how Tar does in a slightly wider release. It did pretty good in the 4 theaters this week, and I've already heard the numbers for Friday and Saturday. People are going to see it. This is our big film of the week. Jackson and I watched it together. We didn't discuss it afterwards. We didn't make facial expressions at each other during the film.
No words were said.
Tar. It's from writer-director Todd Field. Todd Field is an actor who I've actually met before. We've been in a few auditions throughout the last 20, 30 years together. But he's gone on to be also a very prolific writer and director. He doesn't make a lot of films, but when he does, they are great. Little Children with, help me out, the Titanic girl. Why am I blanking? Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet, yes.
Yeah, her and Patrick Wilson is fantastic. In the Bedroom was a great movie that got tons of Oscar nominations. He seems to make a movie about every 5 or 6 years. This one he wrote and directed. Obviously, it stars Cate Blanchett in the lead role of, is it Lillian? Lydia. Lydia it was. Lydia Tarr. A world-renowned composer. She's an EGOT winner, as we learn in a very long interview at the beginning of the film, but has really gone on to be a world-renowned conductor. That seems to be her passion of classical music, whether it be conducting the Berlin Orchestra or people at the Met or the London or the Philharmonic, whoever it would be. She also teaches. It is... Oh, I don't know. Jackson, this is a movie that's kind of stuck with me we saw it last night. It's been on my mind, and I can't tell if for good reasons or bad reasons. I'm going to let you talk about it for a bit.
Okay, so without spoiling too much, I guess, Tar does follow this very famous conductor who is working on kind of this last big piece. She's working on, was it Mahler? Mahler number 5 is the symphony she's trying to conduct.
Yeah, they're going to record Mahler's number 5th symphony live, and they're going to have a companion piece as well. And
it's kind of a bit of, I guess the main plot would be that she's trying to juggle her entire life while at the same time she's kind of having an issue with one of her former students that's kind of pulling her down. Here was one of my biggest issues with it.
Okay.
Can you name me a famous conductor?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Leonard Bernstein.
Okay, and who is Leonard Bernstein? Like who is that?
He is the only conductor that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think that Leonard Bernstein is famous enough to get canceled on Twitter?
Well, since he's dead, I would say no.
Okay, let me rephrase. Do you know of a famous conductor from the last that's currently around and working?
No. I'm
okay.
Not.
That was
yeah.
That was one of my biggest issues. Was that the whole time I'm going, this is an awfully big ruckus being held around someone that isn't in a profession that would warrant that much fame.
Well,
I think that.
Okay.
I don't know. That was a big issue of mine. Was just like, I'm trying not to spoil it too much, but
well, let me put it this way: the second half, or I'd say the last third of the film, deals with her possible quote unquote culture cancelization due to possible inappropriate behavior, and I think your point is like, no one would even know her. Why would it be a big stink? My only defense of that in the movie would be is I feel like she got canceled. Like, it was never like they cut to, like, here's breaking news on Entertainment Tonight or CNN. It was always stuff that was kind of in the snob, like it's in the New Yorker magazine.
That's what I thought too. But then there was, like, protests. And I was just
but even the
now we're getting a little much.
Even the protests looked like 40 or 50 angry people on the street. It wasn't like there was a Black Lives Matter march or
I don't know. I feel like me personally, I had to suspend my belief for a little bit in where this was grounded in.
I get you. What did you think about? I don't think this is a spoiler. I knew we were in for a strange ride when the movie opened with all of the end credits first. And when I mean the end credits...
I did too, yeah.
I mean, they start from the very bottom of the scroll of the last credits and make you sit through second assistant director to B-roll film in Czechoslovakia.
DIT, they had everyone.
They literally show the entire film's credits at the very beginning. And then the movie really opens with two major set pieces. One is an interview that she's doing with at a lecture hall that goes for, I would say, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then there is another huge scene that is actually a little more impressive in the way they shot it because there's no cuts or edits, but a 20 to what felt like 25-minute scene of her teaching a class at Juilliard. And both of those, I felt like the first scene was set to almost teach us about classical music, and the second one was to teach us about her views on music and art. And I got that, but man, are they long. Am I wrong?
They are, and I loved both of those scenes.
Really?
I was sitting through them and I was like, I'm having a blast. I loved watching her teach. I thought that she was fantastic. Right. I mean, I think I speak for both of us when I say Cate Blanchett was phenomenal in this. She really does.
Yeah.
She is just fully that character.
Yeah.
Once those scenes ended, I don't think I enjoyed any of the rest of the movie.
Really?
To be honest.
Because I did
not like this.
I didn't like either one of those scenes, but I enjoyed it a little bit more afterwards. Like
this was, I've been holding them a little bit.
At least there, you know, I'm a story guy, so at least I was like, okay, we're getting into a story now. There is nothing happening for the first hour of the film except lectures on the history of classical music and her feelings on art. And that was a bit much for me. I'm not saying I'm not saying the film won me back in the second half. I have a lot of problems with the second 2 hours of the film as well. But at least I was like, okay, she's in a relationship with this person and she has a child. And there's a dynamic with her and her daughter, and I'm slowly finding out about her and her assistant and exactly where this is coming from. And a lot of it was very, like, I couldn't quite make sense. I mean, by the end, I kind of got the full picture, but, you know, she's getting a mysterious book in the mail, and I was a little lost there for a while, but, and there's some imagery. What do you think about all this pop-up imagery? There's a scene of her in a bed on a lake full of snakes or something.
It looked beautiful, and I was so happy that it showed up for the 2 times that it happened.
Right. I didn't
This is another example of a movie that was marketed horrifically, because this movie is nothing like the trailer. This might be my most disappointing movie of the year, honestly, because I came in with such high hopes, and it just got torn down. First of all, for a movie about music, this had the world's most boring score of all time. It was just like the little eerie, like, just like little ambience in the background, and I was so sick of it. It just sounded horrible. And then there's another credit roll at the end, and it was like an EDM song, like out of nowhere, and it made no sense for the whole movie. The only saving grace was I thought that they stuck the landing with the ending. I appreciated the ending. I thought it was a good little twist there happening.
Maybe you'll have to tell me off air. Did you get the final shot of the audience?
Yeah. Did you not?
No, I didn't know what was going on at all. I was like, was it
Comic-Con? Oh, well, I can't say it because it's
Is it like
it was
Comic-Con?
Like it's like, so a lot of times there will be live orchestra performances accompanying movies where it's like, if you're a fan of Star Wars, you can go in and watch John Williams conduct.
Do you know that film? Do you know the one that?
No, I don't even know if it was a real movie, but it could have been.
It could have been something like that. Right.
Could have been. Yeah, like a Star Trek type thing.
Couple interesting observations. Okay, first off, film aside, Cate Blanchett will be nominated for an Academy Award and will most definitely win the Academy Award. I mean, I haven't seen everything out there. It's because and I saw someone told me that this movie has been called an unwatchable masterpiece. And
I hate that description for a lot of reasons.
I think that was NPR. That sounds like an NPR.
Well, of course
quote.
It was NPR.
Yeah,
Jesus.
An unwatchable masterpiece. And I would say there's parts of that film that I could kind of say that too. She is fantastic.
It certainly is unwatchable.
Yeah.
For a lot of
Well, she is fantastic, but there's a lot of craziness here. There was a lot of really weird shots too. I remember a couple ones I want to talk to you about. One is when there's a scene, and I won't give away, where she is has a meeting with someone in their office who she is firing, let's just say, and she like steals a pen from him real quick when he isn't looking. Did you catch that?
Yeah, a lot of weird little.
Yeah, she like.
I still don't really understand what's happening with the metronome and like the writing on it.
No,
I guess it's implied that was something with her assistant, but I don't get what
was someone
the
breaking
meaning
into
was.
her home. I remember there was a scene when she was talking to her daughter in the car and asking if her daughter was okay at school or something, and then there was a long sustained shot on the child lock on the passenger door, like she looked over to make sure.
Yeah, I didn't get. And it was like rattling a little bit.
Yeah, and I was like,
there was a lot in here. Here's what I will say: this could have been a 2-hour movie.
Oh yeah. Do you think you would have enjoyed it more if they?
Probably not, but it could have been. I would have gotten out quicker. There was just so much unnecessary. I felt unnecessary fat to this movie.
Yeah.
That taught me nothing about her and nothing about anyone else, and seemed just for the sake of whatever. I just don't understand, and this is getting good reviews. As far as I can tell, this is getting.
The critics are falling over themselves about this film.
Oh, why?
But I don't.
Why?
I do not think this is going to find an audience. I really don't.
No, I don't think so either. I completely agree.
I think it's a movie that a lot of people are going to say they loved, even though maybe they didn't as much as they think they did.
I agree.
Maybe there is an audience for this, and some people truly will. Don't get me wrong. If you just want to go and see a really great performance, it's there. But unfortunately, I got to look at the film as a whole. This movie, I think, with any other actress, for me, would probably be a really low D. With Cate Blanchett, and only Cate Blanchett, I'm giving Tar a C-. But that's because that is because of her, not the film.
Yeah. I came out of this feeling a bit cheated. I came in expecting one thing and left just disappointed.
Yeah.
I think Cate Blanchett was phenomenal, but that's not enough to say this for me, and I'm going to have to give Tar a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. You know what it is I don't think either one of us said it last night. Yes, the movie was long, and it was getting a little later, but I think the reason why I think we can both say it now. I think the reason why we both bolted on seeing Triangle of Sadness afterwards, I think this movie just took the wind out of our sails.
No, it really knocked me out.
It was like the last thing I wanted to do after this was go sit in a theater. Sometimes I'm like, let's go see something else. That was really, I'm going to see something totally different. Yeah. I think we were both kind of exhausted after this ride. When you say
100%,
yeah, you're like, you know what? I need to clean a little bit.
My butt hurt from sitting on the seat, and I already there's an hour drive home ahead. Yeah. I was like, I just can't. I don't think I can be doing.
Why are the AMC? I was like, the whole time I was like, why are the AMC theater seats in Century City, which is where we saw that, which is like Beverly Hills adjacent? Why are their seats so shitty? We live out in the suburbs, and our AMC, we got like reclining leather chairs.
No, they were slightly reclining, but they were only you had to push back on them for the recline, and they were really squeaky.
Oh my god! I was like, when are you guys gonna upgrade this theater? I was like, yeah, it was a tough watch last night, but I appreciate you driving up there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad. I really wanted to see it.
So when
I was just misguided
when I get the DVD for this, which I probably will, from the Guild.
Of course,
the Guild,
when this eventually ends up on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, they'll send it to me. I'll get this.
Right.
When it comes in the mail, do you want me to FedEx that to you, or should I just 2-day overnight? Is that okay?
Yeah, if you can just. Oh, are we gonna get an Everything Ever All at Once DVD?
Yeah. Oh, we most definitely will.
Oh, that's so cool.
Now, of course, it'll probably say for your consideration every 5 minutes at the bottom. Like all this.
I forgot about that. Damn it, you're right. Why do they gotta be assholes like that?
Yeah. But what do you care about? You're going to go, did you want to tell her? I think we talked about it last week, didn't we?
Yeah, I've got Michelle Yeoh's coming to my school. I gotta... Oh, actually, I'm actually really pissed off about this because I just found this out. The way they're doing tickets for this one is that tickets go live tomorrow.
Just so people know, because not everyone knows who Michelle Yeoh is. She's an Asian actress. I think she's Japanese. I think so. Michelle Yeoh, she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's what made her really famous, and she's in Jackson's favorite movie of all time from this year, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. But tickets were a lottery or something, weren't they?
Yeah, so it's like tomorrow the tickets go live at noon.
Okay.
You sign up, and then you might get a ticket, and you might not. As opposed to the way it usually is, where it's first come, first serve. This is just random, so it's like not going to reward you for being early and all
Early
that.
or not. But you also want to make sure you get in early enough because they may only be giving out a certain number of lottery tickets. You know?
So I'm going to get there as early as I can, and if I don't get a ticket, I will be buying one secondhand from someone else because I would rather.
You have to do it in person. You can't even do it online to enter the lottery for the tickets. Like you said, you have to. I'm going to go there early. I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna be on my computer. It is the tickets are online. But if I don't get a ticket, I'm gonna have to buy one secondhand from someone else because I'm not gonna miss this. I'll be damned if I pay this much money to not get to go see this event. So, interesting. Now, you saw this movie without me the first time, right?
I don't think I've ever seen this movie with you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because the first time I saw this movie, I saw the directors talk afterwards. You didn't see that, right?
You're the worst.
I sat there, and I told you the next day, I said, you're getting ready to see one of your favorite movies of the year. And I know my son.
God, I can't believe I missed that. Oh.
What if I told you that there's a screening coming up of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, where the directors and the entire cast will be talking afterwards?
I would be like, okay, like awesome. That would be great.
But it's the same day that your girlfriend wants to do date night and watch Sense and Sensibility and Emma back to back. She's like, you know what? It's her birthday.
Oh.
And that's what she wants to do. She wants to have a nice dinner and watch Sense and Sensibility and Emma. Or you can come to Hollywood with me for an exclusive screening of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once with both directors, the entire cast, and it's moderated by Quentin Tarantino.
Okay. Okay.
What are you going to do?
I'm gonna do the birthday dinner, but I'm gonna hold it over her head forever.
And I'll just send
any fight. I'm sorry. Who missed seeing their favorite movie ever with the whole cast of directors to go to your birthday dinner? I'm pretty sure it was this guy. That's what I would do.
And I'll just
text.
I'll text you pictures all night.
Just got to meet. Can you imagine?
Just a
get
picture
pictures of you like, meeting the cast.
Yeah, and hanging out with them. They're all got their arms around me. That could happen. It could. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. The screenings are starting, so I would not be shocked if they do a couple screenings of that somewhere, and I will let you know, and then you can go to all your friends at film school. I saw everybody talk afterwards.
I saw the Daniels. Yeah. But very excited for that because I will be attending whether I have to fight my way in or not.
Yeah, look at that. Follow him at Jackson N. Burns. That's Jackson N as in Nancy Burns on TikTok and Instagram. And you can follow me at Regan. And Twitter. And you can follow me, Regan.Burns, on the Instagram. But most importantly, please go to our YouTube channel and make sure to like this episode as well as subscribe to get updates on future ones. And give us, please, suggestions of great movies that we need to see or really, really bad ones that you want to torture us with. That's coming up again next month, as well as more trivia on the way, top 10 lists, and reviews of new films. We'll be back next week with Halloween Until, and apparently
Triangle of Sadness.
Apparently Triangle of Sadness, and apparently some Japanese film that hopefully doesn't.
Wow, Japanese film? Pretty sure it's South Korean, but that's fine.
South Korean,
all the same, right?
It's
real colors getting shown here at the end of the podcast.
I served. Did you know that?
Served what?
I didn't know.
Yes, you can say served what?
I served dinner.
In Korea?
Yeah. I don't know. I've got nothing to come back with that.
Yeah,
okay. We will be back next week on PGM Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. Love you, buddy.
Love you too. Catch you guys next time.